This happened on my very first overnight shift at the gas station. I only took the shift because my manager begged me to cover. I figured, how bad could it be? It's a tiny station off a quiet highway. Most nights are dead. But that silence, that's the part nobody warns you about. When you're alone at 2 a.m. with nothing but humming refrigerators and buzzing lights, your mind starts filling in the spaces. I kept checking the clock. Everything felt heavier the later it got, like the air itself was listening. That's when I heard it, the deep rumble of an engine pulling in. I glanced at the monitor above the counter. A car had rolled up to pump 6. The headlights were off. The engine was idling, but nobody got out. I watched for a full minute. Exactly at the 60-second mark, the engine sputtered and died. Still, no one. I waited another 30 seconds. Nothing moved. The driver's door didn't open. The interior light didn't come on. No shadows shifted. Finally, I sighed, grabbed my jacket, and went outside. It was colder outside than it had any right to be. My breath fogged in the air. I walked toward the car, and right away, my stomach tightened. The driver's door was open, wide open, but nobody was inside. No footprints in the dirt, no signs of anyone stumbling out. The seat was still warm, like someone had just been sitting in it. That's when I saw the receipt on the passenger seat. At first, I thought it was trash, but when I picked it up, my blood pressure spiked. It was a receipt from the gas station, printed 3 minutes in the future. Same register, same format. Timestamp, 2:20 a.m. Purchased by the Tall Man. I hated that name immediately. Felt wrong, like it was meant to be read out loud. I backed away from the car and headed inside. As soon as I stepped behind the counter, the monitors glitched. Static crawled across the screen. The lights over the pumps flickered. When the feed stabilized, I looked at pump 6, and I swear to you, someone was standing there now. Tall, thin, wrong. His proportions were off. Arms too long, neck too extended, posture unnaturally stiff. He wasn't moving. He wasn't even breathing. He was just looking toward the store. And then he turned his head toward the camera. The monitor exploded into static. The lights inside the store flickered hard enough to buzz. I backed away from the counter without meaning to. The phone rang. Not my cell. The old landline. The one that never rings unless something's wrong. I picked it up with a shaking hand. "Gas and go," I said. "This is..." A distorted voice cut me off. "You left the door open." I spun around. The front door was closed, but the back office door behind me, the one I never touched, was cracked open. Slowly, silently, it creaked another inch. I grabbed my flashlight. "Hello," I called out. "You're not supposed to be back there." The door opened wider. I stepped inside the office, shining my light across the room. Everything looked normal. The desk, the filing cabinet, the safe. Except the door to the supply room beyond it was open too. A cold draft rolled out, carrying a faint smell of gas. "Anyone in here?" I called again. No answer. I stepped into the supply room and scanned the shelves. Nothing. But when I turned back toward the office, the door had closed. Click. Like someone had pushed it. Footsteps outside. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Walking through the store, just outside the office door. I froze. The footsteps stopped directly in front of the office. Whoever, or whatever, was out there wasn't moving. It was just waiting. I backed deeper into the office, my flashlight shaking in my hand. That's when one of the monitors clicked on by itself. Static, then clear. Camera 1 showed pump 6, camera 2, inside the store, and camera 3, the aisle outside the office. And what I saw made my stomach drop. The tall man was no longer outside. Every monitor glitched. The feed scrambled, then reassembled into a scene that made no sense. It showed me walking outside to check the car, coming back in, answering the phone, walking into the office. Except something was missing. There was no tall man in the footage, no figure at pump 6, no one pacing the aisles, nothing behind me. It was like the cameras were insisting I'd been alone the entire time. I whispered, "That's not what happened." The monitors flickered again. This time, a new image appeared. The tall man, standing directly behind me. The lights shut off. I don't remember what happened between that blackout and sunrise. All I know is the manager shook me awake in the office chair. He kept asking why the store was a mess and why I'd slept on the job. I tried to tell him, tried to explain the man at pump 6, the static, the phone call, the footage. He didn't believe a word of it, but when he checked the cameras, his face drained of all color. There was no tall man, no car at pump 6, no engine, no headlights, no me outside. None of it had recorded. The only footage was me talking to no one, explaining something to thin air, walking around the store like I was confused. The manager asked if I was okay. I didn't answer. I wrote a note instead and quit on the spot. It said, "Don't go to pump 6 after 2 a.m. Working the night shift at a gas station is mostly boring. Long hours, cold coffee, humming refrigerators, that kind of thing. When I say nothing interesting ever happened on my shift, I mean ever. At least, that's how it used to be. Until the night a man walked in and greeted me by name. And he never should have known it. It was close to midnight, one of those nights where the air feels heavy and the lights seem a little too bright. I was restocking the cigarette display when I heard the door chime. A man walked in, perfectly normal at first glance. Mid-40s maybe, clean cut, wearing a button-up shirt tucked neatly into his jeans. He smiled at me and said, "Evening, Jordan." I froze. I wasn't wearing a name tag. I never do on night shift, and I definitely didn't recognize him. Hey, I said, confused. He walked straight to the gum display, grabbed a pack, placed it on the counter, paid in cash, and left without another word. I replayed it in my head over and over. Maybe he heard someone say my name earlier. Maybe the manager mentioned it in front of him. No way, not possible. I shook it off as a weird encounter. I should have trusted my gut. The next night, around the exact same time, the door chimed again. Same man, same smile, same tone when he said, "Rough day, huh, Jordan? That fight with your sister sounded stressful." My blood ran cold. I had argued with my sister. Over text. Nobody was around. I didn't mention it to anyone at work. "Sorry, man," I said, trying to sound casual. "Do I know you?" He just smiled politely, set a bottle of tea on the counter, and said, "You will." Then he walked out. I stared at the door long after he left. Something was wrong with this guy. Something I couldn't explain. When I saw him walk in again the third night, my stomach twisted. "Evening, Jordan," he said. But this time, he didn't go to the shelves. He stood right in front of the counter, hands in his pockets. "Your birthday is September 4th, right?" he asked. I felt my heart stop. He kept talking, calm, friendly tone. You live at 614 Dawson Street, second floor. Your mother's name is Elaine. I stepped back. How do you know that? He tilted his head as if confused by the question. You haven't told me yet. What does that mean? I demanded. He smiled. You'll see. Then he left without buying a single thing. The moment he stepped outside, I went straight to the back office to check the security cameras. That's when I realized something was seriously wrong. His face, on every camera angle, was blurred, like the footage refused to capture him. It wasn't just blurry, it was warped, distorted, like corrupted video. But in person, he looked normal. The next morning, I cornered my manager as he came in. Hey man, some guy keeps coming in at night. He knows my name. He knows everything about me. The manager didn't even ask for details. He just went pale. What did he look like? He asked, voice trembling. I described him. Clean-cut, mid-40s, calm, friendly. The manager shook his head. No, that's not right. That's not the same as last time. Last time? What are you talking about? I asked. He grabbed an old binder from under the counter, a dusty incident log from years back. He flipped through it and showed me a page. A clerk from 2007 wrote, "Weird customer keeps showing up at midnight. Always greets me by name. Knows things I never said. Face looks different every visit." Another from 2014. "Customer knows everything about me, every night. He looks like a different person every time." And another from 1996. "The man who knows my name came again." I swallowed hard. The descriptions were all different. The only constant was, shows up at night, knows everything, never ages, never stops visiting, never stops knowing. My manager shut the book and said quietly, "If he shows up again, don't talk to him. Don't answer anything he asks." I wasn't planning on going back to work after that, but I needed the job. Bills don't pay themselves. That night felt wrong from the moment I unlocked the door. The air was thick, too warm, too still. At exactly the same minute as the first night the chime rang. I didn't even have to look up. I felt him enter, but when I finally met his eyes, he wasn't the same man anymore. Different clothes, different build, different face, but the same voice. "Evening, Jordan." My hands shook under the counter. "You've always asked me the same question," he said softly. "And tonight, you're finally going to ask it." I realized I'd been avoiding the question for days, the only question that mattered. "How do you know me?" I whispered. His smile widened, almost relieved. "Because you told me." My voice cracked. "I never told you anything." He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell something strange, like old paper and cold metal. "You will," he said. "You always do. Eventually." I stepped back. "Who are you?" His expression shifted into something almost sad. "I'm the one who remembers you after you're gone." My stomach twisted. What's going to happen to me? He paused, as if choosing his words carefully. "You never make it past tonight." He turned and walked out of the store, disappearing into the darkness. I stood frozen, heart pounding. I tried to shake it off, tried to convince myself he was messing with me. But when my shift ended and I stepped outside, I heard it, the sound of screeching tires. A blinding pair of headlights swerved into the parking lot. Someone shouted, and everything went white, just like he said. I never made it past that night, but he already knew that. He always knows. And if he ever greets you by name, run. When I started my night shift job at a little gas station off Route 19, the manager told me the same thing every new hire hears. You'll be working alone, no night staff, no exceptions. At first I didn't mind. Slow nights meant easy money. But by my third shift, I started noticing things that didn't line up with what the manager said, because someone else was definitely there. It was around 1 a.m. I was restocking the drink fridges when I heard soft footsteps behind me. I turned and saw a guy in a gas station uniform, tall, thin, pale, with dark circles under his eyes. He didn't say anything. He didn't nod or smile. Just grabbed a broom, walked behind the aisles, and started sweeping the same tile over and over. His uniform caught my attention first. Ours were navy blue polo shirts. His was older, faded, more like a retro-style button-up. No name tag, no logo, just old. Hey man, I said. Didn't know I had company tonight. He didn't respond, didn't even look up. I felt like I'd just spoken to an unplugged mannequin. I assumed he was some part-timer or new hire the manager forgot to tell me about. Weird, sure, but not supernatural weird. That came later. Night after night, he appeared like clockwork. Always after 1 a.m. Always silent. Always avoiding light. He'd stock shelves that didn't need stocking, put expired items back on display, sweep the same tile for 10 minutes straight. It wasn't just odd, it felt wrong, like watching someone go through the motions of being alive. The creepy part? He never opened the door. The entrance chime never rang before he arrived. I'd look up from the counter and boom, he'd be in aisle 3, placing soup cans on the shelves backward. And every time I tried talking to him, he'd just pause and then resume whatever he was doing. I thought maybe he just hated talking. I thought maybe he was just weird. But then I checked the cameras. One night during my break, curiosity got the best of me. I checked the monitors in the back office. At first, I saw him walking the aisles, like normal. But something was wrong with the footage. His face was always blurred. Every angle, every camera, no features, just a smear, like the lens could catch everything except him. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold. A timestamp clip from 2 nights earlier. I was counting money at the register, humming to myself. The store was empty, but behind me, in the camera's corner, the silent employee was standing perfectly still, watching me for 45 minutes. I never saw him there. I checked more footage. Some angles caught him, others didn't. Even when they were pointed directly at the aisle he stood in. It was like half the cameras refused to acknowledge he existed. I tried brushing it off, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't watching security footage. I was watching something else. The next morning, as I was clocking out, I casually mentioned him to the manager. Hey, who's that other guy that works nights? The tall dude with the old uniform. The manager froze mid-step. What other guy? I laughed a little. Dude, he's here every night, stocking shelves, sweeping. Doesn't talk much. The manager stared at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Concern mixed with something like fear. We don't have a night co-worker, he said quietly. You're the only one assigned to overnight. I pushed back. No, this guy. He's tall, pale, kinda creepy. Wears an old uniform. The manager swallowed hard. We haven't used that style of uniform in 10 years. My stomach dropped. So who the hell have I been seeing? The manager didn't want to answer, but he did, eventually. He led me into the back office and pulled out an old employee binder, the kind with printouts instead of digital profiles. He flipped through the pages until he stopped on one photo. The face was violently scratched out. Only the outline of a tall, thin figure remained. He worked nights, the manager said quietly. Same hours as you. He was quiet, kept to himself. I felt sick. What happened to him? The manager hesitated. He died here. In the aisle you always see him in. The cameras didn't catch anything. He was just found there the next morning, standing up like he never fell. I stared at the scratched out face and chills crawled up my spine. Why don't you tell new employees about this? I asked. The manager shut the binder. We didn't want to scare people off. Besides, he usually only appears to new hires. Usually. If you see him again, the manager said, voice low, don't talk to him. Don't let him know you can see him. I didn't want to go back to work that night, but I needed the money. At 1:14 a.m. exactly, the lights flickered. He was there, stocking shelves in aisle 3. I forced myself not to look, not to react, not to let him know I knew. But when I glanced at the reflection in the cooler doors, he wasn't stocking anymore. He was standing, facing me. I turned around, and he was closer than before. His uniform was tattered now, stained with something dark. His head was tilted too far to the side. His face looked like a glitch, features sliding and blurring like a corrupted screen. He took one slow step forward, and every light in the store dimmed. I bolted to the back office and slammed the door. I checked the monitors. He was at the office door, not knocking, not moving, just standing. The footage flickered, and suddenly he was closer. Like the glitch had jumped him several feet instantly. I backed against the wall. Then the intercom system, one we never use, crackled to life with a whisper. Help me. Finish my shift. The lights died. Everything went black. I woke up at home. I don't remember leaving. I don't remember going outside. I don't remember getting into my car. My manager called later that morning and asked why the store was left unattended. I didn't answer. I quit the next day. But that's not the part that haunts me. A week later, I drove past the gas station on my way to visit my parents. There was a new hire working the counter, young, nervous. It was his first night. Behind him, through the window, I saw the tall, pale employee standing in aisle 3, watching, just like before. He only appears when someone new starts, and he's always waiting for them to finish the shift. He never finished on his own.